Welcome to the Raise Your Energy podcast. My name is Linda Lange and I'm your host and energy expert. I'm going to introduce you to a powerful tool called Overcoming Yourself. After listening to today's episode, you will understand what overcoming yourself really means and how you can use it as a powerful everyday tool instead of something that feels too difficult. So let's get started. If you have anything in your life that you would like to change, then overcoming yourself is part of that process. If we want to change, we have to leave parts of the old self behind and cross a threshold towards a new version of ourselves. Makes sense, right? Sadly, the person that is standing in the way of you changing most of the time is you. Yes, the biggest barrier to overcome when you want to change is your current self. We will talk about later how this shows up in your life, and I will give you as well 3 really good examples of where you can start to overcome yourself. But first and most importantly, I want to talk to you about the concept of overcoming yourself. Listening to me talk about it, you probably have a perspective or an opinion on this tool or that concept. You might not fully understand yet what it actually means, and therefore you have not decided yet if this sounds like something easy or more difficult to apply. Or you already have tried it out in some way or another and you think that it's actually not that easy as it sounds. Or you love this tool and you're actually using it already on a daily basis. What I like you to discover is that this tool is very powerful in the process of change. It is an essential ingredient if you want to make changes in your life. And I want you to see it as something that is easy, that is fun, that can be lighthearted and playful. That way you're actually going to use it instead of dismissing it as being difficult and hard. Now, as part of my research and preparing for this episode, I actually Googled the 2 words, overcoming yourself. And if I wouldn't know better, it would put me off just by reading the descriptions of the first few things that show up on Google. I will give you a few examples. Overcoming yourself refers to conquering and defeating that part of you that stops you from setting, striving, and achieving your goals. Or have the courage to confront yourself. First, you have to face yourself. And another article starts with, we need to overcome ourselves. I can only blame myself. And the last one I found was, overcoming yourself is better than overcoming a million enemies in battle. Wow, okay, this sounds all like a lot of work, hard work. And don't get me wrong, there are times that it can feel like that. I have situations where overcoming myself feels difficult or takes quite some effort. But I don't want you to get the idea that this is always the case and it always has to be hard and difficult. Because if you do, you're just not going to use it. You're going to look for something easier, something that sounds more achievable, right? That's why I want to share with you a different perspective, another perspective on overcoming yourself, a way to look at it as a game that you can play actually on a daily basis. How does that sound? Okay, so I want to look as well at the benefits of actually using this tool, so you really get why I want you to use it after listening to this episode. Overcoming yourself means discovering yourself. And for you to change something in your life, it is essential for you to first become familiar with your current self. Makes sense, right? How could you change into a new version of yourself when you don't even know where to start? So the first benefit of this tool is that you get to know yourself better, which is a really helpful and essential foundation for any change that you want to make. The second benefit of this tool is when you're in the middle of the process of change. When you know that part of changing is overcoming yourself, then you will be aware of it. You will look out for it. You will identify it and then deal with it. Have you ever tried to change a habit or even stop a habit and you were not successful? In that case, you just did not overcome yourself. You just returned back to your old self, the current self. And maybe you are talking about making a specific change in your life for months or even years, but nothing has happened yet. You have just not overcome yourself yet. You are stuck with your current self and you're just not yet moving towards that new self. So being aware that overcoming yourself is part of that change process is a huge benefit. So let me give you these examples of how this can actually show up in your life when you try to change. And these examples will help you understand the tool better and show you how you can actually straight away apply it after finishing listening or watching to this episode. So let's say you're trying to change something in your life. So you redirect your energy, your time, your efforts towards that change. And maybe you want to create a new self-care practice. Maybe meditation or yoga or some other exercise or journaling, anything like self-care. Or maybe you want to start a new hobby that really allows you to follow your passion. But suddenly small or even bigger things happen around you that want to take up a lot of your time, a big chunk of your time. Maybe one of your kids wants more attention. Maybe work has suddenly given you a completely new and additional project, which would mean working longer hours. Or your partner suddenly comes up with an idea of doing something together and spending more time together on a certain activity, which again would mean you would lose the time you put aside for yourself. This all seems like things that you have no control over. But the control you do have is not letting these things stop you from following your passion or looking after yourself. If you allow these things to take the time away that you put aside for yourself, then you're just returning back to the old self. This is an opportunity for you to overcome yourself and still make the time for that hobby or for that self-care practice. And that might even mean to say no to certain people, certain ideas, certain situations. If you are truly ready to change and you're so fed up with being the old self, don't let yourself be stopped by things popping up in your environment, because they will. I promise you that. But now you know about the tool of overcoming yourself and now you can apply it. So the second example I share with you is about changing an emotional state. Let's say you realized recently that you're carrying a lot of anger inside of you and you no longer want to feel all of that anger. You don't want to have it anymore in your life. So you want to change that emotion, that anger, and you want to feel less of it. You want to maybe change it to another emotion like love or peace or freedom. Now, your body is used to feeling angry. It is used to feeling that emotion and get these chemicals that create the emotion on a regular basis. You have been giving your body for years and years the chemicals of anger, and it got accustomed to it. It got used to it. It got used to feeling it on a daily or regular basis. So what will happen is that the body, wanting the same old emotion, might use some situations in your life to feel it again. And these might be situations that you would normally never feel angry about before. Or it might be people that you have never even been angry with before. And that happens because you're trying to change and feel less angry in certain situations that you're already aware of. So the body is saying, what other situations can I now use to get my anger? because that's what it has been getting over the last years or maybe even decades. And it wants to keep having that emotion. It doesn't know the difference if it's bad or good for you. It is just accustomed to receiving certain chemicals on a regular basis. And this is a perfect place to apply again the tool of overcoming yourself. You become aware when this happens and when the body is doing this to get you to stay your old self, because that is what feels familiar. This feels right to be angry. So with your awareness that overcoming yourself, and in this case, the body is part of the process of change, you can spot these situations and you can decide differently. When you have the awareness, you have a choice to think differently, to act differently, or to feel differently. Okay? So for the third and last example that I have for you, let's say you have a goal or you have a dream of something you would like to achieve in your life. And you know already that you have to change in order to achieve that goal. Two things that can happen in these kind of situations is that we question if we can actually achieve it. Based on what we've experienced in our life before, we look at it and we say, is that really achievable? Can I really do it? I haven't done it in my past. So why would I think suddenly that I can do it now? So your thoughts try to limit your goal or try to diminish what you want to achieve based on your past life. This is a point where you want to, again, overcome yourself, your past self, so to say, and say that anything is possible and that you can do it. You want to stop these limiting thoughts and beliefs that keep you connected to your current self or your old self. Because if you listen to them, if you believe them, if you accept them to be true, then you will not change. You will never achieve that goal or that dream. Makes sense, right? The other thing that happens in these situations when we have a big goal or a big dream is that the mind will look to the future and it cannot see how or when this is going to happen. So it is just not predictable for the mind because it's something new that you want to achieve, right? So your mind starts to come up with self-doubt, with some questions, maybe even with some self-criticism. It will come up maybe with a worst-case scenario, all just to keep you as your current self, because it feels safer here. Here we know how our future is going to look like, exactly how our today and our yesterday looked like. So it is nicely predictable. Giving in to these kind of thoughts and not overcoming them means again that you will not change and you will just stay exactly where you're today. I hope all of these examples gave you enough understanding of this tool, overcoming yourself, that you can apply each and every day to help you to change. If you want to become really good at using this tool and become a really good investigator in your life, then join me in the Change Your Mind, Create New Results program. In this program, together with the 6 weeks of group coaching experience, you will learn the tools to overcome yourself each and every day. If you're ready to make changes and you feel like you don't know really how, then join me in the program. One of my recent students said to me, I tried everything else to change my life and nothing worked. But going through the program and having now these tools, I know I can finally make the changes I always just dreamt about. So if you have tried so many things already yourself and you're ready to learn just this one more thing, I promise you, this is it. So click the link in the show notes or below the video and join me in the program. Thank you so much for listening to or watching this episode today. I hope I was able to offer you a chance to finally make the changes in your life that you so truly desire. So, With that, I love you and leave you. Talk soon and bye bye.